Call the August 3rd Planning Commission meeting to order. If everyone would stand, and we'll start with the pledge, please. Kurt, you want to do a roll call?
David Adams.
Here.
Austin Bonta.
Here.
Tom Cherry.
Here.
Kerry Gunning.
Here.
Mike Hill.
Here.
Gina Geist-Hurst.
Here.
Luke Wyman.
Here.
Denise Little.
All right. Everyone had a chance to go over the minutes? And if so, if there are no corrections, could I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Just second it.
David Adams.
Yes.
Austin Bonta.
Yes.
Tom Cherry.
Yes.
Kerry Gunning.
Yes.
Mike Hill.
Yes.
Gina Geist-Hurst.
Yes.
Luke Wyman.
Yes.
Kurt, do we have any reports from the officers or committees?
Not at this time.
All right. We're going to call our first order of business. When you come up, please make sure you speak into the microphone. I know everyone's wearing masks, so make sure you get it, as close to the microphone or speak as loud as you possibly can so we can hear you. If you can't hear us either, just let us know and we'll repeat any questions we have for you. Is the first one a public one, Kurt?
Both of these petitions are public hearings.
So what's going to happen is the petitioner is going to be called up, and after they're called up, you'll be given a chance to speak only once, either in favor or against the petitioner, and we will call that right after the petitioner has gone. Do you have anything to add, Kurt, or? No. Scott? Nothing. You want to call our first order, please?
We have PLAT 0320-0018 Upscale Construction Incorporated, care of Todd Leith of Hopner, Wagner, and Evans, LLP, 103 East Lincoln Way, Valparaiso, Indiana, seeking primary plat approval for Deer Creek Estates, 44 lots.
Good evening. My name is Todd Leith. I'm here on behalf of your petitioners tonight in this matter, Upscale Construction. Dan and Lisa Ketwig are here with me and join me tonight to help answer any questions that you might have regarding this project. Also, Charlie Ray from Dunlin Group is the design professional, and he is with me as well. And together we're going to ask for your approval tonight. Actually, we're going to ask for your consideration and approval later of a primary plat for a 44-lot subdivision. Now, this subdivision is on approximately just shy of 22 acres and is just south of the Kimberly Manor subdivision, which is south or on the south side of Stone Avenue. This is a subdivision that has been considered a number of times, or at least one other time previously, and that subdivision was never brought forward. Mr. Ketwig and his company have recently acquired the property about 3 years ago, have been working with the city for a number of months, now years, to bring this plat to fruition, and with the assistance of Dunlin Group, have submitted a plat with 44 residential lots. The property is zoned R2. There are no variances. In other words, all of the lots conform to the R2 standards in size, in width, and so forth. Many of the lots are well over the minimum size. The smallest lot in the entire subdivision is 114% of the minimum size, and 6 of the lots of the 44 are twice the size of the minimum requirements. So this is not a particularly dense subdivision. It doesn't have a lot of quirks, if you will. There are some issues with regard to stormwater. We have close proximity to Willow Creek, and those are managed in the stormwater plan that Dunlin Group has presented. We did receive just last Wednesday some additional engineering comments from your staff, and today Dunlin Group submitted responses to that. But of course, your engineering department hasn't had time to check those changes, which is why our request tonight is that you conduct the public hearing, wait for your engineering staff to review the changes, and then meet again after the public hearing at your next meeting, at which time we anticipate that all of those changes will be checked off, if you will. The comment list will be 0, and we'll ask for your approval at that time. But if you would conduct the public hearing, answer any questions or ask any questions that you have, and then we can be nimble between now and your next meeting and make any changes or provide those comments and answers either tonight or at your next meeting. So with that, I'll await your comments following the public hearing.
Let me get real quick, so you don't want to vote tonight, you just want to get the public hearing.
Exactly.
Okay.
We would like to defer the vote,
All right.
but we would like to conduct the public hearing. That way, if there are any changes, we can make those changes in one delay rather than in 2.
Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to call up people from the audience. First, I'm going to call up the group that's for the petitioner, and then you'll get a chance to speak and speak only once. So get all your stuff together. The committee here will write down all your questions, and then we'll address them with the petitioner. All right, so first let's go, is there anybody here who is here to speak for the petitioner? Is there anyone here to speak for the petitioner? Is there anyone here to speak against the petitioner? Is there anyone here to speak against the petitioner? All right, we'll close the public hearing. And Todd, if you'd like to come back up, please. Kurt, what are we waiting on? The engineering that we're looking at?
Right now, we, as Mr. Leith had stated, we did a review of a submittal. We responded back in a letter outlining what we saw from those sets of plans. Subsequently, we have been in conversation with Mr. Leith about process. And today, at about 3 o'clock, Dunlin Group gave us a set of plans, which all of you have a copy of that, and a letter basically responding, I think, to those points that we outlined in our review. Certainly, at this stage, we have not even reviewed any of those comments yet. So I think it's appropriate that staff, we can't authorize a contingent approval, but I think a continuance would be appropriate in this state.
Is there anything else that would prevent him from coming back next week? Do you see any other hurdles? I mean, not next month.
Next month? Only the, the responses and resolving these points.
Okay. I have no questions. I've gone, we just got the updated, so I'll go through those. I don't know if anyone else. Gary? Anybody have any questions, comments? I know stormwater is huge over there, and I take it you've addressed that, so.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so this isn't the stormwater board, so. I have no further questions, if anyone else. Do we need to make a vote to table this till next, or continue?
We need to continue to the next month, and assuming nobody else has any comments.
Do we need to take a vote on that, or?
Yeah, we
Yes.
need a motion and a
Make a
second
motion.
to do that.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to continue till next meeting, based upon the review from staff.
I'll second.
Austin Bonta? Yes. Tom Cherry?
Yes.
Kerry Gunning?
Yes.
Mike Hill?
Yes.
Gina Geist-Hurst?
Yes.
Luke Wyman?
Yes.
David Adams?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much.
All set. Kurt, you want to call our next order of business, please?
Okay, we have Z0420, Rossman Partners LLC, 11061 Broadway, Suite A, Crown Point, Indiana, requesting a change of zoning from office commercial to C1, small to medium scale general commercial at 2852 and 2872 Willow Creek Road. Absolutely.
Could I ask you also to sign in whenever you get up there, please? And if anyone else is speaking, we need you to sign in. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, at this point, I'll have to recuse myself from the meeting.
See you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Austin.
As well.
Is this to go to every member,
Excuse me.
Mr. Ross?
Yes, yes. It was just a adds a little bit more clarity with some dimensions on it that it didn't have before, and I believe the only other change is the dumpster corral proposed location. Hi, thanks guys. We're looking for, asking you guys for a favorable vote for a recommendation to City Council for a zoning change for a retail petroleum station located at Sunrise and Willow Creek. When we look at any project, we look at it from not just our side of how things will work and make sure it's a successful project for everybody, but also for the community. There was 5 different issues that we looked at. I don't know, do you guys have?
Yes.
This here? Okay. So we went through and tried to address the specific, I think, issues or concerns that we felt would represent the city, and how we're readdressing those as being good partners with the city with any development. The first one that we listed there was the highest and best use. And obviously, in our opinion, this is the highest and best use for that area. When we go up and down that area, it seems to be consistent with what is used up and down that corridor. And if anybody has any questions while we're going through this, feel free to ask. I think the biggest thing that we looked at when we were looking at the comprehensive plan, which is the second issue there, was how things have changed since the comprehensive, I believe the comprehensive plan is 11 years old, and how the different aspects of retail and the environment have changed. A lot of comprehensive plans now encourage a lot of walkability in communities. So in our opinion, when we look at this, is if that comprehensive plan was to be reevaluated, that may be something that they would consider, is having some type of use like this in that general vicinity to create some walkability for these type of products. In the architectural designs and standards, this is a pretty nice building that they put up. We have a facility that we just put up over in St. John, which is a very similar in nature. Not only is it adjacent to a park, it's also adjacent to a bank, has residential behind it, and we feel that it was a phenomenal product and fits great into that market as well. I think there's a lot of similarities between that product that we put there and the product that we're suggesting here. I think another thing, when architectural standards, I think a lot of people think of a gas station, they think of the lower ceilings, small. This is not necessarily what I would quantify as a gas station, but a retail petroleum site, which has 14-foot ceilings, has more of a retail restaurant feel to it than it does a gas station, in my opinion. The location, I think everybody's fairly familiar with. The next biggest issue that I know is going to be discussed is the impact on surrounding property values. In our opinion, it does not impact the property values negatively. That would just be based off an appraisal value for the residential products. On the commercial side of it, it actually would enhance the property values quite a bit. On the residential side, there's people that don't mind living next to retail, which is essentially what they're living next to now, or an office use, which either way, those two products on an appraised value neither one will affect it, but neither one will affect, in my opinion, the sellability. Some people don't mind living next to that. Some people do want to live next to that. The other thing too is for the city, and I know this is not necessarily
as I've talked to members of the city before, this is not the driving factor for it, but it's certainly something I think worth noting, is it's going to greatly increase the tax revenue for the city in this development as well. Something else I was just handed was the staff report. So I have not had time to thoroughly review this and give comments back to it, but is that something you guys will read now and I can give comments back as we discuss, or?
The members have, I took a picture for them tonight, just as I did with you.
Okay. So have they reviewed this then beforehand, or?
I handed it out at the beginning of the meeting, so.
Oh, okay. With the staff findings that I was just reviewing here, one of the things that I understand where they're arriving to, but I don't think that it won't have on item 4, won't have a positive effect on it. In my opinion, it certainly won't have a negative impact on it. A positive impact, it's not going to necessarily increase their property values, but it's certainly not going to decrease their property values. That's just based on how the laws are written for appraisals. They have to take the comps for the existing area for comparable products. So a comp would not take into consideration a gas station or a convenience store. The other thing that I think on the site plan that we handed out that is worth looking at is the side yard, the rear yard setback from what we're showing is actually at 106 feet. So the closest, any impervious, that's not even the building. The building's a further 24 feet, actually 30 feet with the sidewalk from the property line. So not only will we have plenty of room for side yard set for the buffer zones and having the berms and the landscaping, but you'll have an additional, 80 feet on top of that, which generally on these types of sites, you don't see. It's usually something that people are coming in and pushing up as tight as they can to it just to make the site work. In this case, we left a lot of green space to accommodate for the neighborhood that is behind us. That berm we carried through, as you see, on 3 sides. Same on Sunrise Avenue. The setbacks there are pretty large. We have some pretty large green spaces. Not that they're required, but I think it enhances the use with having residential adjacent to it. So we certainly not have set out to maximize or press the limits for what is usable on this ground.
Is that it?
Do you have any questions?
We'll address them at the end.
Okay.
Do the public hearing, and at the end, we'll call you back up to answer any questions
Okay.
we have or questions that come from the audience, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, we're going to open the public hearing, and I'm going to call, is there anyone out there who wishes to speak for the petitioner? Is there anyone out there who wishes to speak for the petitioner? Okay. Is there anyone out there who wishes to speak against the petitioner?
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind signing in, and stating your name also, please.
There'll be a specific sheet for this petition.
My name's Steve McGrath. I'm the owner of the property at 5981 Sunrise, which is directly south, I believe, of where this proposed gas station is going. Now, obviously, I haven't seen the plans, so I have some questions as far as what the setback is. You mentioned the setback from Sunrise. How much is it?
We have a copy here.
You can have mine. You can keep yours.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
We have a whole stack up here.
because this is a residential area. From Sunrise East, across the street, you got the park. Are we looking at 8 pumps here?
That is correct.
I have some concerns about traffic too. Sunrise is only a 2-lane road. So is there a berm? I see 3 legs of this berm. Is there one across to the south on facing Sunrise?
We'll address it with you when you come back on. I'm taking notes on the questions he has, okay?
Yeah. My biggest concern is traffic.
When we call him back up, we'll address those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak against the petitioner? If you want to come up to the podium and sign in, please.
Hello, my name is Scott Melland. I'm responding to the notice I've got. This is the first time I've seen a plan. I'm the owner of 596466, which is the second building. It's directly adjacent to this.
The square one?
I'm sorry?
The square one, the second one?
This is a square one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me. I was just there, actually. So I was curious to find out what the change of zoning to what kind of commercial. I have a professional real estate background. I care for development. When I heard it was a retail establishment, it's a gas station. Nice try. I'm vociferously opposed to this development next to residential. I'm also concerned with the traffic count. Willow Creek there is 4 lanes with a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's also directly across the street from Memorial Park. This is kind of a nice section of town. I don't think a gas station is really required retail at this time. Most gas stations that I'm aware of are hardscape from lot line to lot line. Now, seeing their plat, I see they have reserved green space. I will give them that. I also care a lot about light control. Most gas station retail establishments are lit up like the Pakistan-India border, which can be seen from space with the naked eye. So what kind of light control measures are being taken for the residential properties? As far as appraisals and stuff, comps being next to retail definitely are part of an appraisal. Right now, that's a vacant wood behind my property, and I get to tell people, you have a nice green space behind you. Now, I know I don't own it, but they'll probably clear every tree on that lot and replace it with bright lights. So it's about quality of life. You go from an empty lot that could be developed into some office, like the credit union that this is also adjacent to, which is 9 to 5 operations. Gas station could very well be long hours or even 24/7. I don't think this is a good location for a gas station, personally. Also, noise control. If you have a nice HVAC system on top of that roof, like every commercial building does, guess what you can hear in the adjacent backyards humming 24/7? Nothing like a consistent ventilator going that you have no control over. And I also believe, to address another point, the tax benefit to the city would be de minimis. The additional retail sales out of this establishment would just come out of other stores. You've got everything here within blocks. I don't think this is a good development for this location. Sunrise is a quiet residential street right there. It actually has a really nice vibe. And I don't think a gas station is the right fit for that part of town, across Memorial Park, adjacent to residential properties. So, those are my initial comments after just sitting here and hearing them. I'm sorry, I'm pro-development, but I don't think this is a good place for a gas station. Again, my name is Scott Mellon, 5964-66 Sunrise, and I also pay property taxes, so that counts. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak against the development? Is there anyone to speak against the development? Can I call the petitioner back up to you, and we'll address the questions from the audience first, and then any questions we have from the board will be next. Okay, the first one they had is, what is the setbacks, the actual setbacks in that area? Kurt, you may be able to answer.
Well, he brought his drawing in, and it looks like the question was the setback on Sunrise,
Okay,
and it looks to be about 46 feet? Small number, can't read it.
It's 46.
46 and a half.
Yep, 46 and a half.
I think he answered, there's going to be 8 pumps.
Yes.
Okay, so,
And the setback is 46, but we're actually even past that. So we're further back on.
how far are you guys going to be back?
There's not a measurement on that, but just scaling it, it appears to be an additional approximate 10 feet.
Okay.
So,
So we're in excess of 50 feet.
right, because these are two parcels that we're putting together, which allows us to create some more green space and buffer zone than if somebody was to buy them separately and develop them.
Okay. Can you address, I think it's a concern of both of them, is the traffic entering on and off of Willow Creek I see here. Will there be an entrance on and off of Sunrise?
So we purposely did not access Sunrise because it is a residential drive. So we have both of our entrances coming off, proposed entrances coming off of Willow Creek. As far as the traffic goes, gas stations and petroleum services are not typically traffic generators. The industry refers to them as traffic siphoners. So someone's not going to, typically in our industry, going to come to us. We're not a destination place. It's an opportunity. So if they're coming down that road and they need petroleum or they need some type of convenience product, they're going to pull in and service it. So it doesn't really increase, and the data that I've seen does not show traffic increasing on a road due to a petroleum service industry.
I think they're more concerned with the traffic entering and exiting the establishment.
As far as
Safety, you're pulling out on, like they said, a 40-mile-an-hour road. And I see you have look like a one-way in, a one-way out. Okay.
I don't, in my personal opinion, I don't see any safety difference between that and any of the other roads that are connecting. It doesn't have a light there, but there's several intersections there. The credit unions would deal with the same aspect of that.
Okay. Light control. There's gas stations, I'm sure you're going to have all LED lights. What are you doing to protect the areas around there from all the light coming out?
There are several different things that we have done and can do. One is just having downlights. We would submit to the city a photometric plan for consideration, and that would be something that could be evaluated at that time. So we could run and actually show you where the light pollution would be going. It's in light pollution also the hours. This would be 5 to 11, not 24-hour.
This is not, another question they had was, so what were your hours of operation?
5 to 11. And after they close, they would have some security lights that would remain on to illuminate the property, but it wouldn't be all the lights. But the photometric values are something that we always consider because we don't want to have a floodlight that's aimed at the back, and sure, it does a great job lighting up the dumpster corral, but also lights up the neighbor's property, which is not something we want to do.
Scott, real quick on that,
On the photometric?
No, on the hours. Do they have to go to the city for that, or is that something they control so they can?
They control it.
Okay.
But on the photometric, our code requires, and we're at step one of many steps that this continues, our photometric plans within the city require, even in C1, it's probably 1 or 2 foot candles of light at the property line when you're putting your design together for your lighting, so.
I guess my concern was more they can say it's 5 to 11, but they can go 24/7.
Sure.
At any, okay. All right, that's, just wanted to address that.
Yep, that's not a city, that's not a city approval.
Okay. I don't know, you can address the retail value. Differing opinions on that. I'm not a real estate person, but if you could address that.
I totally get the desire to keep that wooded and to keep that the way it is. I do understand that, and that is an amenity, but it is a for sale property to be developed at some point. If they were developed separately, in my opinion, that you would have, in order for us to fit, if somebody came to me and said, I want an office building there, you would have all the way to the setbacks impervious area. So you would have less green space, more lighting, more things that are, I think, the undesirable side of stuff. And that's specifically why we left that huge green space in the back, is so that upper yard, the closest light pole would be over 100 feet away. And we could do wall packs that are LED down, so they'd actually be on the building. So your closest wall pack is 120, 130 feet away.
How about noise control? Because it is going to be generating quite a bit of traffic. I understand you've got Willow Creek there generating it, but you're bringing noise into the area. Could you address that, please?
With the noise, we have the building shielding portion of that. The other aspect of noise is when we get into a neighborhood area, there's pumps with audible on it where you pull up and it starts talking to you, starts cueing you for things. At this location, it was something that we talked to about not having that, so there won't be any audible pumps at this station. The other thing you'll have is you'll have a 4-foot berm. I believe that's the requirement. If it's higher, then that's what it would be. But it would at least be 4 feet. And on top of the berm, we would put more pine trees and things, that vegetation that'll stay green year round. And that is something that'll help absorb the acoustical value of the different traffic. I mean, just from Willow Creek alone has noise value that, in my opinion, the noise pollution coming off of Willow Creek is greater than the actual gas station itself. As far as like specifically referenced in RTU, you know, the only equipment we'll really have up on that roof is an RTU. One of the things we could do is have a parapet on the backside to help shield a little bit more of that sound. We work on commercial buildings all the time, and to be honest, most of the new RTUs, even the 10-ton unit, they're not very loud. But there are older models that I guess could be loud, but the newer ones are not. I would not say are not. You cannot tell if they're on from the ground, even standing next to the building.
Okay. Last question they had was on tax revenue. That we wouldn't know until after the building's up, but if you could address that, please.
As far as
How, he's saying that the revenue we're going to get from sales tax is going to be equivalent. We're either taking it from someone, or taking it from Peter to people. Someone else is losing money if you guys are paying the tax.
Yeah, obviously this is a matter of opinion. I don't, on the petroleum side of it, that may or may not be true. Someone might go to a different community by the time they decide to get their gas. I think on the actual convenience side of it, I don't think that that's true at all, because the convenience side, it's more local based. So the people that are closest to that are the people that are probably going to frequent it the most. So where else would they be shopping at? That's speculative. If somebody goes to Target, then we'd be taking those sales from someplace like Valpo instead of bringing them to Portage.
All right, I'm going to open the question to the board members now. Gary, you got anything?
No, you hit all my questions.
Anything?
I think we covered all my questions.
Okay. Moving on.
Questions and comments, or just questions?
Questions and comments, we'll take them both.
Okay. So I spent a little bit this afternoon on the site. My parents currently live 300 feet from the proposed gas station. I grew up in that area. The best I can see, the property has been vacant 2004, 2005. So it's going on 15 years of someone going, hey, what are we gonna do with this property? I don't know if zoning change is what's needed there. Like some of the gentlemen that spoke against, at this point I'm not for or against. The impact on the traffic going down Willow Creek, we all know Willow Creek it's not the easiest street to get down, almost as difficult as 6 these days. The question I would like to expand on the gentleman's question here, Scott, I believe, is I think his question was, and I may be paraphrasing for him, the impact of people slowing down at 40 miles an hour to go into a gas station on Willow Creek, right? Have you guys taken traffic impact into consideration? That's the first part. The second part is people coming off of Sunrise taking a left. They're crossing 2 lanes into an immediate turn lane to then come across 2 lanes into the gas station. Likewise, leaving the gas station, they're crossing 3 lanes of traffic to get into the closest northbound lane. And I understand we do have that on Route 6 with a gas station there, but I think Route 6 is a more industrialized area than what the previous administrations had planned for the Willow Creek area. So there's a couple questions there, although they kind of sound like statements. So can you address the slowdown impact, or have you addressed the impact of the constant people turning into the gas station, whereas opposed to a straight through like they do now, and then the immediate left off Sunrise to the immediate left, which if I'm trying to get, I'll give you an example. If I'm trying to get from, let's say, Mulberry, I'm going to go to Sunrise. I'm going to take a left, right? I'm going to take a left. And that being where I grew up, that is a very, like Scott said, it is a very quiet neighborhood, right? So I wouldn't go all the way to Stone. And I don't know what the next cross street is. It's at, you would be back to Mulberry. So you have Mulberry, Stone, or Sunrise. Sunrise is going to be the best option there, which is going to increase traffic there. And the question is, have you done a traffic impact on how much you think it'll affect the people going 40 miles an hour southbound, and then the impact of people turning across those lanes of traffic? Because that's not a good intersection to get through now without a gas station there.
We have not done a traffic impact study at this point. To address a couple of them is, when you're taking a right out of the gas station, if you're trying to get into Sunrise, it'd be essentially a right out and then a right into that. So I think that accessibility.
I'm talking Sunrise eastbound.
Right.
Northbound onto Willow Creek.
Right.
So and then immediate left into the gas station.
Back into the gas station. So off the site plan that we have proposed, you would have access into the turn lane there. So if you pulled out, you would be able to DXL into that turn lane to then take a left. So if you're trying to you wouldn't take the first entrance obviously in, you would take the second entrance.
But that's currently a turn lane to go eastbound onto Sunrise to the east of Willow Creek. So you would have a turning lane going eastbound to Sunrise, and you'd have a turning lane trying to get into the gas station merging right there. So the people turning left, hypothetically, people turning left or north off of Sunrise would have to go into the quote-unquote passing lane to go around the turn lane east onto Sunrise to cut back over into a turn lane to go west into the gas station. Is that what I understand?
No, there's a turn lane that you're speaking of there, but then if you look past that directly in front of the entrance, that's not the turn lane to go east. That would be a further down. You could DXL in that and then take a left into the gas station there safely without impacting traffic. So if somebody's continuing down northbound, they wouldn't be DXLing or looking at taillights. They will DXL, but then they'll pull into that turning lane that's not designated to take a left onto. Does that make?
So, and I don't want to harp on specific point here, but if I'm heading eastbound on Sunrise and I want to head northbound on Willow Creek right now, I go into what we would call the passing lane. We would bypass both southbound lanes and the southbound turning lane that would turn east onto Sunrise, correct?
Right.
Okay, so if I'm coming off of Sunrise, I now have to bypass slow lane, passing lane, turning lane to get into the passing lane heading northbound, to get back into a turning lane to get into the gas station. Is that correct?
If the question is if you're pulling out of Sunrise, and how do you get into the gas station? Is that
I guess
question,
my
right?
question is, you come out of Sunrise, you have a deceleration lane all the way down the middle of Willow Creek, whether you're going left or whether you're going right, correct?
Right.
We would have to bypass the slow lane southbound, the passing lane southbound, the turning lane southbound, to get into the passing lane northbound. At that point, to have to go down Willow Creek, decelerate into that turning lane that is not the turning lane to go eastbound onto Sunrise.
Right, you'd have to pull out, and I would imagine you'd pull straight into the passing lane, and then go past the turning lane, and you would pull into the decel lane that runs down the remainder of Willow Creek, and then you would pull in.
I believe we have that situation in more than one place on Willow Creek already, and if there's any building that goes into that place, you're gonna have this issue. It being a gas station is probably not as pertinent to any building going in there. If there's any retail or anything going in there, you're gonna have that. I mean, you go down Willow Creek and we've got that at a few different places. I know right where Loot Road comes out into it, with the YMCA, and then that orthodontics office right there too. If you try and turn off a Loot and come across it, and the same thing with going into the car wash. So I hear your point, but I just...
The difference, if I may respectfully disagree, the difference there is you're not coming off a corner into that without a traffic light. And when you're coming off the last one you spoke of, you are crossing the lanes, but there's a traffic light there. You're not coming out into 40-mile-an-hour traffic to go 60 feet to come into a deceleration. So I guess what I'm getting at is if I'm going 40 down the passing lane, or 38 like they like to drive down Willow Creek, 38 down the passing lane, a car turns out in front of Sunrise to go 60 feet to hit the brakes to get over into the deceleration lane, I think that has an impact on the traffic going northbound. Likewise, with no light there is a ton of traffic going southbound on Willow Creek as well that you have to navigate. And all of us who live in Portage have had to cross that intersection at some point, and sometimes it's easier just to go back to Mulberry instead of trying to cross 4 lanes of traffic without a light.
The other thing that I think is unique, where this scenario does play out down Willow Creek more, but on this specific site, there's nobody to pull into that decel lane, really, and from my perspective anyways, to take a left to go to the other side, because that's a park on the other side. So that decel lane really shouldn't be occupied outside of people.
There's a whole residential subdivision over there. To the north of the church, there's that decel lane off of Sunrise. You come in a decel lane to turn left into the whole residential subdivision over there.
Off of Sunrise?
Yes.
Yeah, and so they would take down the turning lane to pull into there, right?
So then you would say that we would be in the passing lane southbound to turn into the residential neighborhood?
No, they would turn onto Sunrise to go into that neighborhood, correct?
Yes, but if we remove the deceleration lane, where would they turn into that residential neighborhood from? It would be the passing lane.
And one thing we could do is give a better understanding of that with a map that just showed, and then we could ask our engineering to do a light traffic count on that as well.
So I guess I'll make one more point. Something needs to be done with the property. Something. 15 years vacant, it's been sitting there, however it's zoned now, maybe it's not working, maybe commercial is the way to go. And that's, I guess that's obviously what we're here to discuss. That's really it.
Any other questions? I've got a couple real quick ones. First, this landscaping on the back and the side, what is that? And Kurt, I think he'll have to turn in a landscaping plan.
They would. If this goes to a change of zoning to the city council, you know, then the next phase would be site plan, and certainly all those questions of traffic and things like what we're talking about would be very prevalent at that discussion at the Plan Commission.
Okay, then we'll table that for now. The last question I have, a real simple one. Why this location? I'm sure you guys did a lot of studies, and why did you guys pick this location?
When we looked at the existing petroleum service industries that were here, and then where they were at, we found that this spot, we felt there was a need for, and on top of it, to have in most of the areas that we would like to see our convenience stores are in a residential neighborhood, again, for walkability and serviceability to that community. So we felt that this was the best location for this product. And then for the landscape side, this is not at all to be reflective of what we're suggesting for the landscaping. It was just
We'll address that then, and you haven't got there yet, that's fine. I just didn't know if you hit, I saw that, I didn't know
Yeah.
what we were talking as far as a buffer to the houses there. I just wanted to, I didn't know if you had a plan, that was great. If not, that's
Yeah,
fine.
we do
We'll
not.
wait till we
Yeah.
get to that point.
And it's obviously lacking a lot of landscape details, so I didn't want anybody here in the audience or likewise think that this is what we were suggesting. But the main thing that we were looking for here is, where is the building sitting adjacent to the property lines? Are we gonna have a sea of asphalt, as one of the people here pointed out? And we wanted to show that, in fact, we have a lot of green space in this development.
So, any questions? Anything else?
I actually have a question for Scott. No matter what, whether we send a favorable recommendation to the city council or unfavorable, it still goes to the city council, correct?
Yeah, once this board takes official action one way or another on the recommendation.
Okay.
Scott, I have an additional question. If we give it a favor, because all we're deciding here is to zone it commercial 1, correct?
Correct.
If we zone it commercial 1, if we give the property a favorable recommendation to the city council for a commercial 1, but they don't like the idea of the gas station, I guess what I'm asking is, are we voting for the gas station, or are we voting to change this to?
Just a recommendation is all you're doing.
Okay,
The
so,
zone.
This is a petition to change the zoning from office commercial to C1.
okay.
And what
So-
they're presenting in their packet is their concept of the use for this lot.
So could the
If
city
we
council
change
say?
if you recommend a change of zoning to C1 and something happens, and they walk away, and the city council acts on that, then that zoning is C1, and any retail type business that fits the permitted uses can come in on the property.
Well, they would have, so I guess what I'm saying is, if we say that needs to be C1, but we don't like the fact that it's a gas station there, the city council could say they don't want a gas station there. They can put another commercial building there, and for every gas station that tries to come in that spot, they could say, no, it is C1, but we are not gonna allow you to do a gas station. Or does the city council have the right to say no to a gas station once it's zoned C1?
I wouldn't want to put.
Wait, I think the answer to the question is this way. If the favorable recommendation from this board goes up to the city council as C1, and the city council applies C1 zoning, any allowable use in C1 is then allowed, unless the city council puts some sort of contingency on the rezone. So the only thing this board is really doing tonight is recommending that the zoning get changed or not. They brought and the petitioner is always in a trick bag. You either come with no picture and tell a concept, and then nobody likes that very much, or you come with a picture with a concept like they have, and of course it never has enough detail, but they are at the beginning stage, so this is strictly C1 with the idea of how this transaction is put together. It's a contingent purchase, contingent upon the rezone, correct?
Yes.
So they're purchasing it contingent on this, you put these stores in, right?
Yes.
So at this point in time, that's the trail we're following to know that they're here for C1 because they want to put this in here. If they were here for something else, they don't do other stuff, but that's why they're here on a contingent purchase to purchase it to be able to make it to C1. C1 is the one they picked out of our zoning code because that's what allows the gas station in it. If there was another zoning that had a gas station allowable, they'd be trying for that instead. But C1 allows it, so that's what gets them to the C1 of why they're here asking specifically for that.
So just to expand, and I apologize. Let's say I specifically wanted to vote for C1, but specifically did not want to vote for a gas station. I don't have that option.
Then you should vote to not recommend this zone change, because they're specifically here to put a gas station in C1.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Is anyone inclined to make a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion to not give a favorable recommendation to City Council.
I'll second that motion.
Kurt, before you call this, so if you vote yes, you're agreeing with them, no, you disagree with it, you're not, okay, just so everyone's clear.
The motion is to send an unfavorable recommendation to the City Council.
For a change of zoning to C.
For a change of zoning. Okay. Tom Cherry,
Yes.
Kerry Gunning,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Gina Geist-Hurst,
Yes.
Luke Wyman,
Yes.
David Adams.
Yes.
Okay.
And based off of that, when it goes to the city council, that's just a recommendation, and then they re-vote on it, correct?
It is a recommendation to the City Council. That's correct.
And how many people on the board, on this board sit on city council?
Pardon me?
How many members on this board sit on?
One.
Just
One.
Any other business, Kurt?
That is it.
I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Gina?